question as well. So let's just see. Yes, that's recording. So it should be available afterwards if you want to go through anything again and that sort of thing. So the session is quite quick. It took about 10 minutes last week. At the end is a couple of pages on pricing and all of that sort of thing. So the most common question that I normally get asked when I'm doing this is, you know, what's the pricing? So let me just let that person in. What's the pricing, you know, this device relative to that device? So I have catered for that at the end. I have muted everybody on arrival, but if you want to ask anything, just send a private message or stick your hand up, and I'm happy to stop. But there are quite a lot of participants on the meeting, so I'll stay on as long as I need to at the end for any questions and that sort of thing. Okay, so let's get into it. So we're just going to have a quick look at what is current at the moment with 2G. So I think everybody is familiar with the SIM800C, but there's been a couple of changes to it over the last year. So firstly, it went from 32 meg memory down to 24 meg. We did that because it brought the price down quite significantly. And the 32 meg was only really needed if people were running code on the device. So nobody in this country runs code on the SIM800C. And we don't support it either because it's crazy. So the 24 meg versus the 32 meg made no difference. Secondly, during the course of this year, we've had a new power amplifier go onto the device, so replacing some of the circuitry, which has brought the device down a little bit more than it initially was. Okay. Price-wise for this, at the moment, it's sub $3 in pretty much any kind of volume. In high volume, it's a little bit lower than sub 3, but not a hell of a lot, not a lot of movement. We're moving about 10,000 of these per month at the moment. Still very, very popular. The 868 is a footprint compatible device. So what I normally tell guys is to lay out for the 868, which has got the GPRS and the GLONASS and everything on board as well. It's got a couple of pads underneath the device, but if you lay out for this, it can accommodate pretty much this as well as other devices, which I'll get to. There is a dual SIM variant. There are a few clients who use that as well. Not so popular. Most people use or switch dual SIM outside the device. And then there's the SIM800F, which is exactly the same, but it's the old 24 by 24 size footprint, which replaces the SIM900. On 3G, it's a very quick slide because everything was discontinued. So basically, 3G has been turned off faster around the world than 2G because it's seen as a useless technology. If you can't do something in 2G, you're probably going to need 4G, with 3G not really giving you much of an advantage. So Simcom took a decision to kill off all of the 3G devices, and you'll see why. This comes down into the 4G, which has dropped significantly in pricing now as well. On the low power wide area devices, NB-IoT is the SIM7020. It's footprint compatible with the 800C. So once again, if you lay out for the SIM868, it does accommodate this device as well. The way that one communicates or connects initially with the SIM7020 is very, very different to the SIM800C. So if I remember correctly, you first have to switch your radio on, you have to connect your radio, and then once the radio is connected, you switch the digital circuitry on. So it's quite different. So if you do want to go the NB-IoT route, please speak to us. We know how to do it. It's going to save you a lot of time and hassle. Okay, then the SIM7000 is both what's LTE M1 as well as NB-IoT and GPRS. It's what I refer to as a white elephant because everybody wants it until they see the price. So the point behind this is to allow people to have one product which is running GPRS, and as the NB-IoT or LTE M1 network is switched on in the background, so you switch over to that device. But it's hellishly expensive. It just doesn't pay to do it. You may as well have one footprint which can accommodate this or the 800, and as areas come online for NB-IoT, so you can substitute it. The 7020 is more expensive than the 800C as well, so it doesn't really pay unless you're going to save on the data side, which I'm not sure you can do just yet anyway. So what's coming in the NB-IoT and the CAT-M1, the SIM7070G. So you're going to see a few devices with this G suffix. There's another one here, a couple of them. G is global. So these devices will work anywhere in the world. They are all frequency bands. So if you have a SIM7070E and you have a SIM7070G, the G is going to be more expensive because it's got a more sophisticated radio inside than the E because it accommodates more bands. So your choice is to use a SIM7070E in Europe and South Africa. And if you're going to export to the States, then you would take a SIM7070A and you can substitute it. Or you go with the G, which can work everywhere. So this device is Cat M1, NB-IoT, as well as 2G, as well as the GPS on board as well. Okay, I'm not sure if the South African release of NB-IoT is at release 14 yet, because release 13 doesn't allow tower handover, whereas release 14 does. The modules do have release 14 accommodation. Okay. Some 7090G, NB-IoT, and 2G, so there's no Cat M1 on this. Global band device, so that can be used all over the world. 7080G, no 2G, so this has got your Cat M1, NB-IoT, and your GPS, but no 2G. So they've come up with a couple of different flavors here. 7060G, NB-IoT, and GLONASS. So this one I think is going to be quite popular as soon as the tower handover is accommodated and we're on release 14 on the towers, because that'll allow you to do tracking on NB-IoT instead of using GPRS. Excuse me, guys. Okay, on 4G, what's current at the moment, sure, lots of people still coming in. On 4G, what's current at the moment is the SIM70-100E, okay, which is 50 meg up, 100 meg down, fallback through 3G to 2G. So this accommodates everything, 4G, 3G, HSPA, down to GPRS and Edge as well, okay. It's got a PCIe form factor option, and then sorry, this should be 7100E. Not 7600E. And then you also have the SIM7600E, which is a lot more suited for our market. So we don't have many people who've gone for the 7100E, whereas the 7600E, we do have quite a few people who went, quite a few clients who've gone for that. So that's 5 meg up and 10 meg down, fallback through 3G to 2G, as well as the GPS and GLONASS on board. It's significantly cheaper than the SIM7100 because of the lower speed that it accommodates. That device has been moved to the SIM7600 EL1C, which is the same device but with a different chipset, which is cheaper. So clients who are using the 7600E are basically at the moment migrated over to the SIM7600 EL1C. So far we've got, I think, 3 or 4 clients who've migrated without any issues, complete compatibility, no problems at all, okay? Then you also have the 7500E and the 7500 EL1C, exactly the same as the SIM7600, it's just a different size. So nobody's gone for this package size, everyone's gone for the SIM7600E, it's the square package size. So what's coming is the 7600E, 7600G, which is the global variant, so that'll accommodate every band around the world. The A7600L NSE. Okay, so this is using the ASR chipset, much cheaper version of this device, okay, or of the SIM7600. But I'm going to come back to it now because this one here, the A7600E, is already here. So we've got this one in stock already. It's the ASR chipset, fallback from 4G straight to 2G. So what Simcom have done is they've actually removed the whole 3G compatibility of the device. There is no 3G support. There is no voice support whatsoever on this device. It's a pure telemetry device. And by doing that, they have halved the cost of the SIM7600 family. So I do have clients who've gone SIM7600E to SIM7600 EL1C and who are now testing the A7600E because, as I said at the start, you know, the 3G is kind of like a bit of a dead technology. If it's not good enough on 2G, it's probably not, 3G is probably not fast enough either. So a lot of clients moving over to this. The only thing I don't like about this is that it's a 900 and 1800 band device. Okay, so it doesn't have the full band support on GSM. Nevertheless, that hasn't stopped quite a few of our customers moving over. So when I say it's half the price of the SIM7600E, this one is coming in low volumes at about $13. And for a 4G device in low volume, that's very good. I have done some high volume quotes. There's not a hell of a lot of movement. It's not breaking $10 yet, but it is coming close to the $11 mark. And I'm pretty sure in time it'll break the $10 mark. We're waiting for the A7670SA. And that doesn't mean South Africa. I don't know what the hell the SA actually means. So that's also the ASR chipset. So the same fallback, no 3G, no voice, but it's the quad band variant. I'm not sure on the pricing on it yet, but I'm pretty sure it'll be quite similarly priced to the A7600E because it's the same chipset. It's just the radio that's different on it. So these two devices here in terms of 4G seems to be the way to go. A lot of clients have asked me about 2G and how long it's going to be around. Obviously, you know, how long is a piece of string? What we're seeing at the moment is that it's unlikely that 2G is just going to be switched off because we've got millions, literally millions of cars running on 2G tracking units, and you know that can't just be switched off. But realistically, what seems to be happening is there's no improvement to the 2G network. So as it's becoming more and more congested, I am getting more and more reports from customers of unreliable kind of hotspots where there's just high traffic and it's difficult to make use of the 2G reliably. So that's why a lot of people are actually going to 4G. Now, we've only ever really pushed the cheap modules. So people have the wrong impression that Simcom doesn't have anything but cheap modules. So this is why I've included this. They do have smart modules. These two are current. So the 8905 and the 8950 are both Android devices. So if you are looking for Android operating system devices and you need an octa core, they do actually have it, and they have had it for some time. I think this one also has the Wi-Fi. I just need to double check. Okay, Bluetooth, all of that stuff is on there. So this one is running Android 7, 8, 9. This one 5, 7, and 8. Okay. They also have a range of automotive modules, which are fully approved for automotive use. So 150 meg up, 50 down. Supports Open Linux on the 7800E with GLONASS, and it meets a certain set of standards. This device meets CV2X standards as well, and it also has the GLONASS on it as well. Very similar device, just with different standards that it meets. What's coming is the 7920, which is an LGA package. That's going to be an LTE Cat 20 and CV2X. And some 8200, which is going to have SA515 approval. This is going to be a 5G module and V2X with DSDA approval as well. So these are the two devices that are coming out. Mostly this is of interest to guys that are doing OEM design though for vehicle manufacturers. So we've never really seen any take up of the automotive modules in South Africa. Everyone seems to just go with the commercial. There is already a range of 5G modules. So starting at the 450 meg up, 4 gig down with fallback to 3G with Wi-Fi on board. 500 meg up, 2.4 gig down, fallback to 3G. This one is running Android 6, 7, 8, or 9 and has the GPS and GLONASS already on board. There's a millimeter wave device, some 8300G. 3 gigabits per second up, 7 gigs down, and then fall back through 5G, which is 1 gig, 4 gig up and down. Oops, sorry, go back. Fall back to 3G, USB driver for Android and Linux as well. So these devices are not really popular yet due to their price. So when we get to the price list, you'll see what I mean about that. So second last slide before I give you the thank you slide is the product compatibility. So often I get asked, okay, so the SIM 5360 is discontinued, or what is there that can replace it? So there's actually a range of devices, LTE Cat 1 or LTE Cat 4 devices that are footprint compatible with that device. Obviously with the A's coming out, they're actually similarly, if not slightly cheaper priced than the old 5360s. So it really makes no sense to go with or to hunt for old modules of 5300 family devices that are discontinued. 4G and 2G, you've got your your NB-IoT modules basically in here, as well as your 2G modules and your Cat M1, Cat 1 series devices. So you do have this upward compatibility from 2G through NB-IoT to LTE Cat 1 as well. Okay. So if we look at the pricing comparison, so this says 500 pieces per lot. Just kind of ignore that, because we always buy at minimum at the 500 piece pricing. So regardless of whether you're buying sort of 10 or 100, these are sort of the typical just comparative prices that come in. So the Sim 800C that I was speaking about is this one here, which is sub $6 on this price list. But as I said to you, because of the volumes we're moving, that's actually going at sub $3 at the moment to everyone. But just in terms of comparatively how they sit, your Sim 7020 is basically double the price of a Sim 800C in similar volumes. Okay. LTE Cat 1, so typically starting at your $25 mark, and then at the bottom you've got the first of the A series coming in at $12.92. So if you're just looking straight off the price list without any special pricing from Simcom or anything like that, half the price of the nearest competitor, so, or the nearest rival. As far as I'm aware, this is the first module from anyone that's cracking the $13 mark. So very, very competitively priced, and it's being pretty well received, even though, as I said, it's only a dual band GSM. LTE Cat 3 Sim 7100 is pushing around the $40 mark at the moment. Excuse me. 7906 basically up at $50. Not everything was in the presentation, so if there are specific devices, you can speak to me afterwards. Then the smart modules, yes, the reason why no one seems to take them, everyone just goes and buys a tablet if they need it, because then they get the interface as well. 8905, 8950, and the 8980, which I didn't present as well. That's double the price of the 8950, coming in at 1300. And if anybody would like to design in 1,000 5G modules a month, please, please, please speak to me, because you know when it starts at 7,000 Rand a module up to 9,700 Rand, you know, I'd be very surprised if there's anyone out there with volume requirements on this. Okay. All right, I just want to close just one other thing which I'd like to just mention. I'm just going to actually stop the recording now though, because that's the presentation. I don't want to make the recording too long.